So today we're going to talk about Breeze, things that we've learned about Breeze, the new Breeze. Because Breeze got some changes and, some games have been played on it now, so let's talk about what's changed. And first, let's talk about team comps. What are people actually playing on the map? So these are the Breeze comps that we've seen so far. So Fury have played the map twice, they've won twice, Cloud9 have played it, Crew have played it, and Sen have played it and all lost, and NRG won as well. And these are the comps that they played. Everyone played Viper. That probably isn't too much of a shock to you. Almost everyone playing Yoru apart from Crew. Almost everyone playing Sova apart from Sentinels. We got 3 Astras here, 4 out of 6 if you count Furia's 2 games, and we got 3 Neons here as well, right? So NRG played all of those agents, and I do think that the NRG comp here, so Viper, Yoru, Sova, Astra, Neon, is probably the closest thing to a meta because, those agents keep coming up again and again. But as you can see, there are some differences. There's a Sky in here, KO, Breach, Chamber, Jet. You might see some of those agents in there as well. But I think generally this kind of double controller and for now double duelist with a Sova will probably be the most popular way of playing the map. And for those of you who want to know, the attack versus defense win rate so far has actually been 49-51, so very close to 50-50. Now, I would say that Breeze in general has shifted, more defense-sided with the changes, but obviously teams are playing, a lot of no-senti double duelist that perhaps is making up for that and overall turning the map into kind of a 50-50 map. So now let's talk about some specifics then. What have we learned about the new Breeze? Well, one thing I think we can somewhat say for sure is that for teams like Cloud9, I think they have messed up their comp a bit because it's not 2021 anymore, and I just don't think you can play solo Viper on this map. I just don't think it works, and I think here you're going to get a good demonstration from their game against NRG of why not.
And just send it A.
Maybe. Except it's not always so simple because there's walls, there's mollies, there's players already here. Oxy stalled out for a moment. But C9 have the TP ready to go if they want it. Again, taking their time. Now trying to look for something. Scuba untouched and unbeatable.
So why is this a problem playing the solo Viper in this specific round? Well, if we take a look at what happens in this round, what you will see is that they're going to commit their Viper wall fairly early in this round, right? So this is meant to just be, full A hit. You could see it from C9 there, and there goes the Viper wall across, right? And when this Viper wall comes across, just take a look at the players rotating here from NRG and the situation that we end up in for C9, because eventually what's going to happen is they get stalled out by a snakebite here in the choke point, so they can't go forward. But the thing is, you've now committed this Viper wall. So you're just like priced in to go to A at this point. Otherwise you just don't have smokes for the other side of the map. And NRG know this, right? So look, we get 4 people over here. And by the time they actually start this exec, there's 4 people here. And this is the problem. And yeah, they got stalled out. But again, if this is a double controller comp, just the fact that they put up the Viper wall, and did some util, that necessarily wouldn't necessitate, for all of NRG to instantly think, well, yeah, this is probably just an A exec, so let's just get over there now. Everyone's kind of already here because you are just kind of giving away what you're doing because it's so risky to go to the other site. Speaking of Viper, now let's talk about a good Viper aspect, and that is the defensive Viper pit setup. So this is doing this Viper split that we just saw there out towards A main with a Viper orb here in the doors that we'll see in this round as C9, they want to come towards A. That's their goal in this round, as we can kind of see by the map just now. They will try and force this through, but we will see that this Viper's pit setup is incredibly strong.
And with that orb constantly cycling.
Yeah, that one way is really annoying to try and get through.
Yeah, you either go into the one way or you go into Viper split. Splitting A is so difficult. So maybe now Cloud9 think about what can they do? Can you feign somewhere? Can you pull players back?
I like
well,
this.
Now they're losing info.
Yeah.
The reclear from Mata.
Scouting ult into mid, only sees the one player. Maybe less effective than Mata was hoping for. Will have to escape away. Didn't have a teleport to fall back on either. So now a Hunter's Fury just pulverizes Oxy in main. A beautiful angle. The Brock is working.
Main, but there's still Astra and Viper util here.
Yeah, there's also a Neon on the way. There's a Hunter's Fury that C9 are trying to use to find a way into the site. But it's a mess. It is a mess.
So we get kind of a great example there of, both the first point that I made and this one as well, that C9 for essentially for a whole minute, they just stare at this and don't know what to do. Right? Like, they wanted to do this A split, it looked like, you know, they put up their Viper wall just there. It looks like they're coming for this A split, but then you're not getting through this. Right? That's not happening. Good luck getting through there. So then they have to go, oh, well, I guess we have to, you know, pivot towards B then instead. And you can see by the time they start going to B, you know, we get a nice overall coming out here from NRG as well, and they're ready for it. And eventually they just end up completely lost. And again, you see kind of the problem with Solo Viper, like, hey, our plan got, you know, dismissed and we used this wall and it didn't work. And now we're doing an exec with no smokes. Right? We're running in with 20 seconds left, no smokes, you know, no chance, essentially. And so you see there that Viper's pit setup with the orb there on the door as well. I mean, it's basically just like you ain't going to A. And so your only other option then is B. And that obviously becomes then very obvious of like, oh, well, let's put players over towards B. Okay, the next point I want to make is actually a more attack-sided point here. And this, we're going to use NRG versus C9, but NRG on the attack side this time. And this is to do with the A post plants, right? So here you got NRG. They're going to come onto the A side. They're going to plant the spike. And what I want to talk about here is the corner that Kiko is going to end up in, right? So this is the new kind of corner just here, right, that he's going to end up in a post plant. And when this, you know, was first kind of, you know, shown, it was like, oh, cool, we've got now a new area to play in. But from what I've seen so far, and there's been a couple of these situations, and this is a good example of it, playing in this corner isn't always that easy.
And I like it. Not often you see it as another smoke goes down, giving him a pocket to work into. Oxy reads him like a book and gets the first kill in this round. Still another duelist lodged in backside. Kiko, peppered by utility, tucks himself in, dodges the flash, but take real go at this round, and they're going to continue to come up heads on him. As the smoke goes down, Oxy for...
Okay, so this is one of those situations that I think we've seen multiple times as well with these A post plants is if you are standing in that corner, you are going to get hit by, you know, quite a bit of util. Quite a bit of util is going to come your way, as we see here with the aftershock, multiple flashes, you know, getting separated from your team with the neon wall coming across here as well, right? So Kiko, at this point, is completely isolated. I mean, he is kind of even without this neon wall, right? He's kind of isolated from the rest of his team, and he is going to get hit by util. And I think that that's something you need to think about with this corner is how good is it going to go if you are just sitting in this corner? If you're Kiko in this situation, like looking at the map right now, like, what's the best case scenario? Obviously, best case scenario is he hits the clip of his life and somehow kills, you know, everyone. But the most likely thing is you're either max going to get one, right? Or you're just going to die like he does here, right? So you have to start thinking about, well, is that how you want to play this then? And maybe, you know, it works better if, you know, if you've got a second teammate over here who can swing off you, yeah, then maybe that's fine. But I think if you're going to put like a player here alone, like NRG do in this kind of post plant, and you worry that you are going to end up in, you know, something that looks like this, really, I think this can really then only be your Yoru, right? A Yoru with a TP back here who can maybe get one and still escape, or if he gets bombarded by util, can just escape and still play his life, right? Because otherwise, you just end up in this situation where, in most cases, Kiko is not going to be able to, you know, work miracles there. And we have seen, I think, multiple times that players playing in that corner who can't escape do just kind of end up getting hit by util and then die. Okay, and then the last thing I want to point out here is from the game Sen versus Furia. And in this one, Sentinels are on the attack side, and they're going to go for this B split.
Larger, especially because it's cutting those mid-rotates.
And with these double smokes here, you can clear out what's behind you and even threaten to pop through. This is a lot quicker than you'll see from other teams. Narrate, already up on pillar, but Alum is untouched! That's ridiculous!
And really what I want to talk about with this B split is kind of what you see there, that this B split is really quite difficult, I think, right? Even if, I'm just going to assume you've, you know, done the first part and nothing's gone wrong here, you know, you haven't died from someone on the other side of the mid, you haven't died from someone from Nest, like, if you are like Sen here and you are able to, you know, get to this space and it's relatively clear, still, I think this B split is so hard, because when these players are running down here, right? So Sen are doing this. You think of the resources that they've already used, right? So they've used Skydog here, they've used a smoke here, they've put their Viper Orb here as well to kind of deflect. Now they're going to use Neon Wall to come in. But the problem is when you're running through here, and they've got, you know, they're going to Viper Wall this, they're going to Astra Smoke this. So, you know, there's a lot going on here. They're committing a hell of a lot of resources to it. But coming through here is still so difficult, because as you see here, Caillou still has to watch for someone dropping back here. Right, so you need a player who you're using one player almost all of the time to just like watch that these guys don't die from behind, right? So that's like one player, because it takes you a while to get here, right? This is not a short path. This is a pretty long path, so you always are going to have to pretty much commit this player if you're going for a fast B split. But then even as these guys are coming in onto the site, you think about what they have to worry about. Like, okay, yeah, you're going to smoke this off. You got this Viper pool here. Well, there's still this corridor that is a little bit of a problem for you, right? Where these players could be, right? They can be in front of you. They can be to the right of you. They can be to the left of you. And as we've discussed, they can be behind you as well. And you need someone to hold for that as well. And people could be anywhere. And the thing is, even if you're trying to pinch on people in this corner, right? Like, which is normally like the advantage of a split, is anyone like kind of tucked close is just an insta kill, right? That's great. Well, this guy isn't an insta kill because you have to get really deep onto the side before you even see them. And the second thing is as well, for the players who aren't, you know, part of kind of the mid part of this split, who are part of the main split, that's a problem for them as well. Are normally not going to be your duelists, like they aren't here, right? For Sen, it's an Astra and a Viper, so they don't really have a lot of tools to get out of this themselves, and they're still going to have to be worried about this side, and even ahead of them as well, right? Because there's positions here that, you know, these defenders could be where you're able to isolate one side or the other, like Koala Noob is doing here. There are multiple positions on this B site where you can isolate either the main or, you know, through mid, and again, it's going to be difficult to pinch on people. So doing this B split, I think, just requires a lot and is also not easy. And I think in general, we have not seen a lot of, you know, these kind of rounds, right? Sen were kind of the only team to kind of really try these fast B splits a couple of times. Most teams, you know, have avoided them or really only did a B split when it was kind of like, hey, we wanted to go A, but it's not on, so let's go B. Because I think they require a lot of util to be used, and the gain of doing it maybe isn't super worth it. So those are some things we have learned about Breeze. I hope you have learned something, because this is the Thinking Man's Valorant channel, and hopefully you're learning about Valorant.